Hi, my name is Patty, and I created this channel, Life Uncomplicated, to help people uncomplicate mental well-being and mental health by understanding how the mind really works. And today I wanted to talk about relieving stress. Stress is something I think that we're all familiar with. And I think that the problem is that we misunderstand it. We misunderstand where it comes from, and we misunderstand how to eliminate it. And there are a ton of resources out there that talk about stress. And from my experience, most of those resources talk about ways to reduce stress, or I guess reduce would be the word to use, meditation or I don't know, mindfulness, things like that. All great things. But there's something to consider when it comes to stress. And that one thing to consider is that it doesn't come from out there, that it comes from in here. Now, that may sound really strange, and you may not even like hearing that. And that's totally fine. I get it, because I get that it looks like stress comes from our job, our boss, our family, our kids, our money situation, any number of circumstances. It definitely looks like stress is coming from something outside of us. And yet, if we look at the principles of how the mind works, at the base level, we're alive, we're aware, and we think. Kind of like primary colors of red, blue, and yellow. Those three colors, there aren't any other colors that combine to make those three colors. Those three colors are the base that all other colors come from. And mind, consciousness, and thought, these three base principles, these three base elements of how the mind works, tell us that the only way we can experience anything is if we have a thought about it. Now that's interesting. In order to experience stress, I have to be having stressful thoughts. And then my consciousness, my capacity to be aware, brings feelings up alive in my body, and I feel them. So I feel the stress. I think the stressful thoughts and I feel the stress. Now, because we're so used to looking outside of us, I'm going to look outside of myself for the thing that's creating that stress. It could be my past, it could be a past experience, it could be a memory, it could be uh, my significant other, it could be my job. And when I look at outside and I see the thing that I associate to the feeling I'm having, I'm going to believe that that thing is causing me to feel stress. The problem with that is I can't control that thing outside of me. I'm going to want that other person to be different. I'm going to want my job to be different. I'm going to want my money situation to be different in order for me to feel better, in order for that stress to go away. And the problem with that is because it doesn't work that way, that stress continues. I'm continuing to create stress in my body by the way that I'm using my mind, by the way that I'm thinking. And it's that simple, but it's hard to see. And yet, if you can catch a glimpse of it, if you can step back and get curious when you're feeling stressed and take a look at what's happening in your mind, what are the images? What are the sentences? What are the words that are coming up in your mind? Because those words and images and sentences have a feeling. And for you in this moment, if you're feeling stressed, those images, thoughts, and words feel like stress. Now, in another moment, a happy memory could pop into your head. And in that moment, the image, words, and sentences that are in your mind are going to feel like happiness. Now, this is huge. This is huge. I cannot understate how huge this is. Because if we can get an understanding of how the system works and how stress really works and where it really comes from, then we can see that as the thinker, we can not think anything we don't want to. We can step away from Any thought that pops into our head, we can let it go. We can tune it out. And once we have that understanding, then it just becomes obvious what we need to do. We need to count to 10. We need to take a step back. We need to walk away. We need to go for a walk. We need to let the conversation go and go do something else. Whatever in that moment makes sense and is obvious to do will occur to us simply by noticing the feelings and knowing where those feelings are actually coming from. Now, that doesn't mean that if you're having a disagreement with somebody and you're starting to feel stressed, that doesn't mean that there isn't something that needs to be worked out with that other person. It just means that in that moment, you probably don't have enough clarity of mind to effectively come up with a compromise. So you walk away, you step away, you let yourself calm down, you let your mind settle. And then you go back and say, okay, let's have a conversation about this. And then probably what's going to happen is whatever conversation you have is going to be much more productive, and you're going to come up with a compromise much quicker than you would have if you tried to solve the problem when you were stressed, when it looked like it was their fault. And if you've ever been in a situation like that, you know exactly what I mean. So anyway, this is what I wanted to talk about today: reducing stress. Reducing stress is not about having a practice. It's not about having a mantra. It's not having a technique. It's about noticing where stress really comes from and noticing the signals our body's giving us so that we can see where we are in any given moment. Because if we know where we are, we can get to where we want to go. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. I hope something resonated with you. And I hope that if you have something to ask, you go ahead and put the comment below, and I'd be happy to answer your question. All right. I hope you have a good day. Talk to you again. Take care. Bye-bye.